What is going on, you guys? Welcome to this channel. Don't know the name of it yet, but this is going to be kind of a diesel tuning channel, doing anything diesel related type channel. So it's brand new. Obviously this is the first video, so I appreciate you guys tuning in, no pun intended. And I hope you guys enjoyed this information and enjoy this channel. But this one's basically going to be an intro into tuning the Ford Diesel 6.7 liter. It's going to kind of backwards cover some older generations like the 6.0, getting into the 7.3. The concept for diesels in general is pretty similar across the board, whether it's a 7.3 all the way up to a 6.7, but the way that you tune it is different, or the way that we get our end result is a little bit different. So I hope you guys stay tuned and learn some things. And we're gonna go over it. I got some questions I want to ask you guys, for you to answer yourself, because it's not gonna be for me to answer, it's gonna be for you guys to answer. And these are things you're gonna want to just ask yourself. So let's jump into this list. So the first one I have for you guys is this worth it? Now, behind me you can see we got my 04 Cobra here. We'll get into a little bit more of this engine bay. It's kind of here in this video for a reason. I know it's not the diesel is actually outside there, but I'm going to show you guys a little bit of this engine and kind of, leading up to my next question. But keep this question in mind. Is it worth it? This is something I want you to think of as we kind of go down this list and I ask you some other questions, because this industry is difficult. It is not easy, and doing this is not easy. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. So keep that question in mind. The next question is, do you enjoy learning? Because if you don't enjoy learning, for you, this may be insanely difficult. For somebody that does, it's more like, just learning pains, running pains, as people say. It's a beginning stage. It hurts in the beginning, but you kind of, you move on and you get over it. There's always a hurdle in learning anything you do in life, guys. This is one of those things. Whether you're doing a new job, you're starting in a new job, I should say, you're learning a new trade, something of that nature. Anytime you do this, there's always going to be hurdles that you have to get over. So I want you guys to be aware of that. This is not going to come easy. And that kind of leads into, do you love engines overall? And that also leads into this, and kind of why I thought it'd be a good background for right now, being as I can't have the diesel out there. But if you look at this engine bay, we can see it's got a lot of things in it, right? We can see it's got a supercharger, it's got valve covers, it's got an intake, it's got two different tanks for coolant. This one for the supercharger system, for the intercooler, or goes to a heat exchanger and then into an intercooler. And then we got, this coolant for that. We got a power steering reservoir, brake reservoir. We have all these things in this engine, right? In this engine bay. These things are here for a reason. So you need to be able to understand the whole concept of an engine, whether it's gas or diesel, it doesn't matter. They all have things that they have to do, or a task they have to accomplish. So you have to keep that in mind when you do tuning and you look at a tune, say from HP Tuners, as most of you probably know me from the HP Tuners forum where this link was posted. This is going to be something that, you're going to view a software and you're going to look at it and you're going to see kind of tables laid out. Now, these tables are kind of categorized, right? If we look at it from HP Tuners standpoint, we have tabs at the top, and then under each one of those tabs is more tabs that then get into a finer detail of what's under there, right? So you got to keep all this stuff in mind, what it's doing, what it's trying to accomplish. It's a big giant thing we got going on, and you guys need to know all of it, and that's what can be very difficult. So if you don't enjoy engines, you don't enjoy learning, this again may not be for you. But let's move on to my next question, and that leads into, do you have lots of time? Seems silly, right? Do you have lots of time? Well, yeah, I got all the time, but this stuff takes time. Again, kind of going back to that beginning stage, walking to running, to getting those running pains, to, learning pains. It's an adventure, it's a lot. We have to learn a lot, we have to take in, and it takes a lot of time to do that. It takes years, and I didn't just jump into doing diesel tuning. I haven't been doing it that long. It's getting close to a year and 3/4 at this point that I've actually been researching and starting the beginning. But I want to let you guys know a little secret. I spent 6 months learning diesel engine operation before I ever messed with anything in my stock ECU calibration. So I spent a lot of time learning. I didn't just jump into it and go, oh, this is good. I also spent 15 years in the automotive industry of gas performance. You know, I've been working on it since I was a kid. I'm 32 now. I started professionally doing it at 16. I did that for 2 years, then kind of did some other things, and then came back to it in 2010, and have been at it consistently since 2010, and consistently in performance-oriented work. So it takes a lot of time. I didn't just jump into this and just one day go, hey, I want to tune diesels, and it's super easy, and hey, you should tune it too. And I'm not doing this video to be a one-all be-all, this is going to teach you everything, because it's not. And I'm not going to be able to teach you everything in one video, in 10 videos, in 100 videos. It's not that way. I can't show you guys everything. So you're going to have to take responsibility and learn it yourselves, and that's why. Do you have the time to do this? Because it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of energy. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not willing to dedicate that time, you know, it's probably something you don't want to do. I don't want to be a bearer of bad news, but I want this video to be real. I want it to be honest, because I get frustrated doing this. I love it. I love it to death. I spend so many hours doing it. This is my passion. This is what I love. And I get frustrated doing it. So I want you guys to know, with how much I love it, I still get frustrated at it. So it's something that, you know, keep that in mind. It's not going to be easy. It's not always fun and games and you're just like, woo, tune in, make it, oh yeah, it's running good. You know, there's other things that go along with it that suck, and it frustrates you and it irritates you. So that is bound to happen. So make sure you have time to do this. Another one, guys, is, do you have friends in this industry? Now, in the industry, it's a question I ask because it can be valuable. I mean, it can be invaluable when you need them most, and there are times with certain things that if you don't have somebody to turn to bounce ideas off of, it's definitely going to make it difficult, right? Because going back to everything we just said, all these things come together with, do you have somebody in the industry that can help you out? Maybe he's, you know, a guy that's a supercharger specialist. Well, why would a supercharger specialist help me with a diesel and turbos? Well, because he knows airflow, you know? I mean, this is anything with moving air, moving fuel, invaluable to have somebody to kind of teach you some things. Because, like I said, guys, I learn more and more every single day that I do this, and I'm always going to be learning. And that's the reason I'm making this video, is to hopefully teach you guys something, hopefully get somebody that knows even more than me to chime in and help us, me, you, everybody out in this industry. Nobody's doing anything. I don't see anybody doing anything to help anybody except for maybe Firepunk Diesel, and then posting their videos that they produce, which are awesome. They do great content. If you don't know Firepunk, you should seriously go check them out. They do great videos. I've asked them questions about their truck, and they will tell you anything and everything about it. And they're the best in the world. They don't hide anything. That's the truth. You don't have to hide stuff to be the best. And that's where I want to be with tuning 6.7s and doing 6.7 work, is I want to be the best in the world at it eventually. But you got to have people in the industry. You got to have friends. You can't be the best in the world without having friends. They have plenty of friends in the industry, and they go to plenty of events where they meet plenty of people, and it is a huge ordeal to be the best in the world. So I plan on doing that. I plan on, you know, figuring that out. But I want you guys to keep that in mind as you go through your journey of tuning and you go and figure this out. It's going to be something you're going to want to, you know, do. Just think about, hey, could I meet somebody here? Is there, you know, somebody I could, you know, meet that could help me? And I mean, sometimes you have to think in a selfish manner of, is this going to help me or is it not? Because if you're doing this professionally, you're doing it for you. It's your life. It's your business. You got to put you in front of other people. I don't mean to be, you know, rude about that, but that's something I've learned doing my own business, is I try to be nice to everybody. Not everybody reciprocates that. So you get people that tend to push you away, or, you know, just kind of like not help you out. And the funny thing is, the more people I find that push me away, that don't help me out, those people actually don't know that much, is usually why they kind of push you away and don't help you out, is they don't really understand what they're doing, so they're not going to be able to help you if they don't know what they're doing, and they don't want you to know they don't know what they're doing. So, not saying everybody's that way, not saying everybody that's going to turn you down is going to be that way, but it's something to think about, something to keep in mind. So, if you can, have friends in the industry, make friends in the industry, it will help you out. And then kind of my second to my last question is, are you good at math? Because if you're not good at math, tuning is not going to be good for you. It is definitely math oriented. A lot of these tables deal with math. If you look at, you know, pretty much anything in a tuning calibration file has to do with numbers, right? Well, numbers and math kind of go hand in hand. A lot of times when you make changes in diesel tuning, gas tuning, any tuning, it's by a percentage. So if you don't know your percentages, that is something you're going to want to learn very quickly, because it is way easier to go, hey, I need 10%, hey, I need 5%, hey, I need X%, and be able to just whip it out quickly, or be able to do the math quickly and make your change happen and move on. So that is something you're going to want to know. Math is not always easy, I can say that, and I'm telling you right now, all these ECUs are becoming more and more and more math/engineering dependent. They are very, very complicated. They are using extremely good, smart, and difficult to understand equations for things. Especially if you don't know math, you don't kind of have any sort of engineering background, you'll look at some of these numbers, or you'll look at the written equation or the written detail of that map, and you'll be like, what does that even mean? And that's where it gets, again, really difficult if you don't know these things. And so I really, really encourage you to start brushing up on your math. If you're young and you're getting into this, more power to you. Stay in school, do a little bit of math, go into engineering. That will help you a ton in doing this. And actually, if you look, Ford requires you to have, I think, 3 years experience with an engineering degree to even be able to do beginning level calibrating for them. That is literally just elevation calibrating. Like, I think you just go, if you live in the mountains, or they fly you to a mountains with a vehicle, and you just do very, very, very simple percent changes for elevation, and that is it. You don't do anything crazy. They don't let you spread your wings and make a bunch of power or attempt anything like that. So that should tell you something in what this industry really requires, because they are one of the people that, they write the rules in a sense on what they need out of an ECU, what they need it to do, and how they need it to do it. And so when they give you a door saying this is what you need to have to be able to get in and do these things, you're gonna have to know those things. So it's definitely not easy. I'm definitely not saying or counting anybody out that doesn't, know engineering, doesn't know physics, doesn't know math. Not saying you can't learn it, but it is gonna be a long, tough, hard road to do that if you don't know that. So that is something to take into consideration when doing this, and something to really think about. And so now I want to do something. I'm going to take you guys off this camera. I'm going to kind of run you through this, the operation of like this engine in a real simple manner, but I want you guys to kind of see it and view it from that perspective, and that is the perspective of the way that an engine works, kind of A to B, and what its job is. I want you guys to really thoroughly understand how an engine operates and know what it's doing when you're going to tune it, because if you don't know what these things are doing, you're never gonna know how to make a calibration change appropriately if you can't view the data, know what the engine's, how it's operating. You're gonna go, hey, here's my data, here's how it's operating, here's how I need to make my change, right? And if you don't know that, here's how it's operating. If you don't know that here, so if you don't know how your engine is operating, you're never gonna be able to figure out, go from step 1 of here's my data to step 2, here is how my engine is operating, to step 3, here's how I'm making my appropriate change or calibration change. You just won't know how to do it. So we got to know that. So I'm going to do kind of a quick rundown of airflow moving through this engine, just to kind of, help you guys see it. Sometimes seeing somebody point some things out helps you understand what it's doing, and kind of, maybe you'll look at it and go, hey, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even, know that, or, so let me show you that. So basically, guys, what we're going to be doing is going through the intake of this car. So if we look, that is the first thing that this engine is going to be looking for. We're going to go straight up through this air filter, right? Go past our MAF. So our MAF's going to give us a reading, and it's going to do that by having a hot wire that runs through. So it's a known resistance, and they run known power through it. That known power produces X amount of heat because of that resistance. And what they are doing is they're trying to maintain that wire at a specific temperature, no matter the airflow through it, and that will determine how much air is going into the engine. Now the cool thing about this is it not only reads volume of air because of it, but it can also almost read density, which is really cool, right? Because if we have a little bit of air going through but really cold, well, guess what? It's gonna cool that wire down and require a lot of energy to keep that wire hot. But what if we have a bunch of hot air, you know, a bunch of it flowing through, kind of almost in the same boat, right? Like it's going to be sucking a lot of that heat away, so it's going to take a lot of energy to keep that wire hot. So whether the air is hot or cold, it's going to know, right? And we all know from air and how it is, the molecules of air and just about anything, as it usually gets colder, they get tighter together. You get more compact. So we know when the air is colder, it's going to be denser. Therefore, we're going to need more fuel. So that's just something to think about. Quick little thing I want to throw in there, but let's go ahead and move on. We go past the MAF, get that reading, go past the throttle body here, which again has a sensor on it, seeing how much the throttle body is open. Also try and help attempt to guesstimate airflow and also know what the driver's demand is. And then we go past that. You can see here's an idle air control valve. That's not really necessary now. We'll go through there into the supercharger rotors. Boom, gets compressed out of the supercharger rotors. Underneath it, which we have a heat exchanger to keep that hot compressed air, and it's hot because it just got compressed by the supercharger. So to keep that air cool, we got to have an intercooler down there. So we cool it back off right before it goes into our lower manifold, and then from our lower manifold gets dispersed relatively evenly into our intake runner. Then as soon as our intake valve opens, we sneak that air, beautiful pressurized cool air, into the cylinder. As it's going down, we're filling it full of air. And as that's happening on this specific unit, we got fuel being sprayed in. As that air is going by, fuel's being sprayed in. It's mixing together, creating a very, very nice air-fuel mixture. And that piston reaches bottom dead center, and it starts coming back up, compressing all that beautiful air and fuel. And then the spark plug says, bink, and that lights it off. An explosion happens, creating a lot of cylinder pressure, pushing our piston back down, turning our engine. That is our driving force. And then as soon as that's done, and we're all the way back down at bottom dead center again, we have our burnt, spent oxygen and fuel, whatever's left over in there. If it's a poorly mixed, you know, air fuel mixture, or well mixed, you know, depending on what it is going to determine what's left over. And then we got that piston starting to come back up, and about halfway up, or a quarter of the way up, the exhaust valve opens up, and we start pushing all that spent oxygen and fuel, and we push it out into the exhaust manifold. From there, it goes out the exhaust manifold and out the tailpipe. If it were a diesel, it would go out the exhaust and then be used to go drive our turbine on our turbo, and obviously slow down. It's gonna come out at a high rate of speed and then hit that turbine wheel, slow down, and then slowly get sent out the back of the turbo through the downpipe and out the exhaust. So that is pretty much it, you guys. I just wanted to go over some of this stuff, let you guys know kind of what it's going to take to do this, and let you know it is not going to be an easy road. I don't want anybody to think that. I also want you guys to succeed. I truly do, because it is not easy doing this. No matter which way you slice it, it is not easy to do this, and I want to be honest with you guys. I want to be upfront with you guys, because it's just not. I've spent a lot of time learning it. There's not a lot of guys that are willing to share. You can look all over this forum and you can see there's not a lot of good information out there. Half the time, it's a lot of bad information, and that's something I wanted to let you guys know. There is plenty of bad information on these forums, on the internet in general. Plenty of guys that just spew garbage out of their mouth, that don't have a clue what they're talking about. Even in the tuning world, I have looked at tunes up and down from numerous people, and I see things in almost every tune that I disagree with. Now, that can be personal preference, but a lot of it, in my opinion, is wrong. There's a disagreeing or two different ways of tuning to get the same result. I'm fine with that. I look at that as just, that's somebody else's style, that's their way of doing it, totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't view that data as wrong data. I view that data as a different way to do it. Nothing wrong with that. There are tables I've seen in a lot of quote-unquote professional tunes that are very, very poor and just not right, in my opinion. But again, maybe I'm wrong. I can always be wrong, and I am wrong about a lot of things, so there's that. But at the end of the day, I hope to prove to you guys I know a little bit of something, And hopefully I can teach you guys a little bit of something, and we can all have some pretty decent running trucks or cars or whatever, and you know, just have some fun doing it. So again, appreciate you guys watching this video. If you're new, pretty much everybody here is new, so hit that subscribe button, because like I said, this is a brand new channel. We're gonna be doing more content like this, so hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell after you do, so when I launch a video or put up a new video, you guys are gonna get it. I think that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys in the next video. It's gonna be detailing kind of, we're gonna be going over HP tuners, what it looks like, kind of showing off again some of those tabs and tables and stuff and that sort of thing. But I'll leave you guys with a little piece of advice. If you haven't, or you're new, go through your HP tuners on whatever you're looking at diesel wise. Just kind of open your tabs up and start looking through it, preferably 6.7 stuff, since this is going to be 6.7 based. Just look through those tabs and start viewing them. Go through one tab and like look at it. I want you guys to become very familiar with HP tuners and your ECU, the way that it's laid out on HP tuners. I want you to know where every table is and what it is. It's not going to matter so soon on, but I want you guys to just be very familiar with it, so when the time comes, you're going to be able to know where to look right away. It's going to be in your brain, second nature. You're not going to have to go like, oh, where is that table? Is it over here? I want you to know where that table is. So again, start doing that right now, and that'll help you through this course as well. So anyways, appreciate you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video, but it's time for you to get out of here, so laters.